who's currently fingerprinted in Pennsylvania. I'm Jill Horner. This is Comcast Newsmakers. With me is Pennsylvania State Representative Todd Stephens. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
When there's an arrest made or when someone's convicted, are they all fingerprinted in the Commonwealth?
When you're arrested for a misdemeanor or a felony, you are supposed to be fingerprinted. And as we've learned, unfortunately, that's not always happening here in Pennsylvania.
So not always happening. How prevalent is it that individuals who have been arrested for a misdemeanor or for a felony are not being fingerprinted?
The most recent data shows that only 80% of those who are supposed to be fingerprinted in Pennsylvania are being fingerprinted in Pennsylvania.
What are the implications of not being fingerprinted?
It's a major public safety problem. The implications are that when criminal background checks are done, if an individual wants to buy a gun, if they want to go work in childcare, if they want to work in financial planning, any criminal background check won't show a criminal history for these individuals that were never fingerprinted. I mean, our entire criminal justice system is really tied to your fingerprints. And if police departments are not fingerprinting you at the time of your arrest, that information isn't being put into our criminal justice system, and these people are showing up with clean records despite the fact that they might have a conviction for murder or rape or theft or anything along those lines.
So in theory, someone could go and apply for a job at a school or a daycare center but have a conviction related to child endangerment?
The state police told me directly they've had people walk into their barracks to register for Megan's Law because they've been convicted of a sex offense. And when the state police ran their criminal history, it came up clean because they were never fingerprinted at the beginning of the process. So, to your point, yes, people could be applying for jobs in daycare centers. The daycare center could be running a criminal history check, and the individual could come up clean despite the fact that they have a conviction for child endangerment.
Are there individuals who are currently incarcerated that haven't been fingerprinted?
The state police also told me today in our state prisons, there are people serving time who, if you ran their criminal history, would come up clean.
Let's talk a little bit about how this actually occurs. These police forces are required to do these fingerprints. Why is it not happening in all cases?
We've heard, sort of anecdotally, a number of different possible reasons. Some, it comes down to resources. Smaller police departments may only have one officer on overnight. So if they're in the middle of making an arrest and they get another call, they have to make that decision about, what demands more of their immediate attention. Other times, you have issues with local district justices who may not be issuing fingerprint orders when they're supposed to on some lower level cases. And then there's some that just are falling through the cracks, unfortunately. We are, at the House Judiciary Committee, going to be holding hearings on this subject to try to get at the heart of what's causing the problem. You're
also putting together a working group to study this issue. Are you going to be hearing from law enforcement, all different levels of law enforcement?
Absolutely. That's critical in trying to solve this problem. Make sure we get the end users involved in the discussions so that they can tell us what the problems are that they face when having to comply with these requirements to fingerprint everybody.
So if the requirements are already in place, it's already a law to fingerprint these individuals, do there need to be penalties or incentives in place in order for police departments to comply?
That's something that we're looking at very closely. Do you use the carrot approach or the stick approach? I think that this working group and these hearings will help lead us to one of those two paths. But one way or another, we've got to do something to address this problem because it can't continue.
And just a few seconds left, but it is also a matter of public awareness, understanding that this is an issue that's actually occurring here in Pennsylvania.
A lot of local officers I've spoken with didn't recognize or understand the full ramifications of the fingerprint. So educating them on that is very important.
Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
We've been talking with Pennsylvania State Representative Todd Stephens. I'm Jill Horner.